because we selected the mocking service. So whatever base URI you define, it will automatically comment it and it will create its own base URI like this mocking. Okay, so mocking service use the API mocking service. Mocking service means use the API mocking service. Okay, and base URI means uses the base URI as defined in your API specification. We defined this, but it's commented automatically like this with the hash sign. So in RAML, if you want to comment something, you need to use hash sign. Okay, like for example, if I am for example here example, and I want to write like here something. The next resource is
it's like in web design, right?
correct employee
I got it.
like this. Okay, so this is the comment, this is the comment line. It will not reflect in your documentation. It just to understand what, like if you want to put more comments based on your description, like somebody wants what is this example for, and for this you want any comments, so use hash sign and it will comment. Okay, it's not required the last one, the first one single hash is enough. But sometimes if there is big ramal, so what generally they do, like they create something like this, the big ones, and they keep it like here like this. Okay, here also you need to put hash sign. So it's like making a differentiation. Okay, it's making like a delimiter between one resource and another resource. Okay, so it's like this. Okay, so this API designer, like this like when you click on send, okay, so it will displays the HTTP return code, that is 200. Okay, as specified in our this design. Okay, so alternatively, what does it mean? Like you are testing the API by copying the means you're testing the API just by using the documentation in the design center. So when we click send, so it is giving us the response. Okay, second thing, if you don't, when like if you want to give this raml URL to your client, okay, and you don't want to give the access of your design center, then what you need to do, click on this mocking service configuration. Okay, so this is the click on it, and there is two options: make public, look, make public and local settings. So the difference is like if you make public, so use mocking service without a authorization headers. Mocking select by default means local settings means mocking service will be selected by default in the documentation panel. So first we check this one, copy it. So now go back. So whatever you are getting this response, you are hitting this URL. So go back here, paste it here. Okay, so now once you will click this, you will get the requested resource could not be found, because we are just giving the base path, like our host URL, but we need to give the resource. So our resource is books. Okay, so what we are getting this ID, because in, sorry, because here the example for get books is ID1. Okay, so we are getting ID1. Okay, so we can give this URL to our client or our user instead of giving the complete access of API design center. Okay, so they can test, they can analyze their raml, they can like give us the feedback. Okay, by hitting this we are getting this response. So if they want, for example, they want something, some changes in the response, like we don't need ID1, we need something else. For example, we need one more thing like uh, book name. Okay, so we'll give like EI, and it's a string. In last class I already defined this is number, this is string, so string always will come under double quotes. For number we don't need double quotes, it will be simply like 1 2 3 whatever. Okay, so now, and hit it again. Once again, it will take time to refresh. In the meantime, I'll show you here. So here ID book name, and in the same way it is giving like ID1 book name API. Okay, so this is the public URL and this is your documentation mm, endpoint. Okay, so in this way you can mock the you are using the mocking service. Now sometimes all the developments we do in parallel, like one API, system API and process API, we create both the APIs in parallel. Okay, because of some tight guideline, no, sorry, timelines and all. So what we do to start the implementation of the process API, and also to start the process of system API. So system API, we create a mocking service for system API, because as per business documentation, or like high level diagram, high level documentation, low level documentation, we know what will be the resources and what will be the resources and what will be the request and responses. So for example, I got a simple business requirement that we need slash books, and based we need to pass the query parameter and we need to send this response to the user. So instead of implementing the complete API, we designed this one, and the developer who is working on the process API, we will give him or her this URL. Okay, and they will use this URL in their API. Okay, they can add this in their requester, HTTP requester. The people who don't know what is HTTP requester, we will when we will do actual implementation, that time you will come to know what exactly it is. Okay, so you can use this URL from the process API and you will get the exact, like uh, at least you can complete your success scenarios. Okay, and also like here we did not give any error response, you can also add error responses. And so they can, in the process API, they can easily cover up error handling, all those stuff. Okay, so that's why we use mocking, so it's easy for development, like in different teams and all. Okay, and also to get the feedbacks from the user. So main thing is we don't need to give the complete access of design center. Okay, so with avoiding that, we just provide this URL. Okay, and here currently we have only single resource, so that's why we have books. In future, if we have anything else like post or like some other resources, so accordingly we will change its name. Okay, so this is the browser, this is a web browser. Whatever we are writing here, it will take it as a get request. Okay, but if we have a Postman, like any other REST clients, like we are using Postman. Okay, so in my very first class, I explained this as a first prerequisite, that we need a Postman or some other REST clients. Okay, to hit our APIs. Okay, so there we can provide other methods, like instead of get we can provide the post method, delete method, patch method. So this was the Postman. Let me show you the same URL here, this one, under the Postman. Okay, so this box send us. So what we are getting, this API, this one as a JSON method, as a JSON. So here we have get, now we will post. Now let's see what it gives. So look, method not found, because we don't have that method defined so far. We have just the get method for slash books resources. Okay, so that's why we are getting method not found. So in the same way, if we don't give books, if we give something like test that we didn't create so far with the post method, so let's see what it gives. It gives resource not found. Okay, it gives resource not found instead of method not found, because first it is checking if that resource is available or not. If it is available, then it will check that method for that resource method is defined or not. Okay, so if you see, first is resource, then it's method. So that's why we are getting error here, resource not found. Okay, if resource is there, for example, I explain you books. So books, so it will check first books resource is there, but post method is not there. So that's why it's giving method not found. Okay, so and this is the status 405.
Anurag,
Yes,
are you using, sorry, Postman right now?
yes, yes. Postman
Because we're seeing just the design center.
Design Center.
Are you just, yeah, yeah, because I don't know if you're showing the Postman and
Oh, thank you for
you're very
notifying me.
welcome. It's okay, it's okay. Yeah, because I was looking for the error but don't find it.
Okay, let me share my screen again.
Sure.
Guys, please let me know once you are seeing the Postman. Is it visible now? The Postman?
Yeah, sure. Sure, I got it, I got it. I
Okay,
can see it.
then I repeat it again. Okay, because you guys missed it. Okay, so as I was explaining you, well, did you miss this part also? This public URL?
No, 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 we saw that.
Okay, so what I was saying that in the browser, whatever URL we give, it takes it as a by default get method. Okay, there is no
Sure.
facility to pass the post method, delete method, patch method, right? So what we do, we generally use the any REST clients like Postman. Postman is a REST client. There is some other also that we covered in first class under the prerequisites. Okay, I use Postman because it's very simple. Okay, we can create the collections. So for that, I will take a separate class if you guys interested. Like there are some 4 or 5 sessions about the Postman to explain the Postmans that will cover later. But now it's just install the Postman. You will get this window. Okay, if you want, it will ask you to sign in. It's your if your wish. If you want to sign in, you want to create an account. Otherwise, no issues. Okay, it's a free, it's a open source. I did not create, so it's look. I can sign in. You can do it like sign in and all. Okay, but I don't want, so it's fine. Okay, so now come back. This is the Postman, and I will show you this URL because it's here get, and I want to show you the response and all. So when I give post with the get method, so it will give us the correct response that we defined in our RAML. Okay, and with the get method, so you are getting a JSON response because there is a JSON, the response body. It's this type is application slash JSON, example is this. Okay, and you are getting the same. But now if I change the post method with the books, so what will happen? It will give us method not found. Okay, and status is 405. So once you will check the HTTP status, that I think I asked you guys to I think I provided some links also in the second class. So you need to understand all the HTTP methods, like when there is 200, what does it mean? When there is 401, when there is 500, what does it mean? When I will design the RAML further, I will add all those with some descriptions. But there are a lot of HTTP status methods. Okay, oh, HTTP status codes like 405, 401, 500, 200, 201, 202. Okay, all status codes have some meanings. So like here 405 method not allowed. What does it mean? Whatever method we are passing this, it is not available in our RAML. That's why it's not allowing it, and it means that method not found. Okay, so both are
So
same.
it is often to just to raml get just using
Sorry.
the get response. So for design center,
Yes,
when you're
yes,
going to
yes.
create in raml, it's necessary always to use the get.
Yes, no, no, it's not always necessary to get, because we have get defined. So that's why if we will define a post here, like one more
Oh, we can
method.
change it.
Yeah, one more method, like we will define, for example, here post like this. Okay,
Uh-huh.
okay, and for that we need to define its request body. Okay, so I will cover it like how to define post and on. First I will finish this one. So if we have post, then it will give you whatever under post method. Okay, so
Uh-huh.
now let's see, we change the books, like we don't have test resource in our RAML. So what it will give method not found, or it will give some another error. Let's see. Look, it's saying now resource not found. Okay, why it is not giving method not found? Because what it does, first it will check the resource. If resource is there, then it will check its method. Okay, but in our ramal we don't have the test resource, we have only books. Okay, so that's why it is first checking. Or also you can understand by this, because we define first books, one resource, under that resource we have one method. So what it does, it is doing, it is first checking the resource, then it is checking its method. In the same way here, it is first checking the resource. So at very first step it's failed, the test resource is not available in the ramal. So at very first stage it's failed, so that's why it's giving resource not found. Okay, that's the I was showing you the different behaviors actually with the methods. Okay, so now go back here. Okay, so in the last class I created this simple ramal query parameters I defined. Okay,
Sorry, Anurag, I have one
yes.
doubt. In Ramil part, you are describing the book ID details only in request, but
Hmm.
in responses, you are giving the book name also.
No, this was the example, and it is not the request, it's just a query parameter, and that is
Okay.
required false. So if I give, for example, book id here, the get method, and we need to pass the query parameter. As I earlier told you, we need question mark, and we need book id equals to 456, for example. So what it is doing here, when I we are adding this, so if you go to params, it all automatically adding this key and this value. So there is two ways to add the query parameter. I either you can go manually like question mark book id like I have done, or you can do in this way. Instead of going here, click on params, give the key is book id,
Well,
and give its value, like I'm giving 456. Okay, so when you will hit this, it will, okay, which one? Okay, test, it will be books. Okay, it will give you this response. But currently like here we have book id, it's an example, just example, like you need to pass a number value like this because type is number, so you can pass this. So here, when we will have more books with the id like thousands id, like 1 2 3 or 4 5 6 7 8 9 thousand books available. Okay, and we need only books related to id 1 2 3, then what it will do, it's a blueprint of the API. So in ramal, in our actual API, what we do, we will, like for example, we based on this request in our ramal, in our API, we will implement the actual implementation. We will, like if example we are using a database, so in database, based on this request, what we will do, we will take this book id, we will take the query parameters. Okay, and we will take the resource. So in the resource books, what we will do, we will first see if there is any query parameter like book id. If there is no query parameter, then we will send the complete available data of books. If there is any query parameter like book id 456, then I will go to database and I will query the database based on like select books where book id is 456. So database will give me the book that is having book id 456, and I will uh, same I will give in the response of books resource. So then for example we have now book name, and then for example we are giving something book id like 456. Okay, here it will be a comma because it's a correct JSON. So what it will give you when you will hit it, you will get, okay, it takes some time to save. Okay, one moment, it will get refresh. Look, I provided 456, so it is giving like book ID 456. it's currently it's hard coded because we are using a raml, but when in the actual implementation, when we'll get this request like book id 456, we will interact with the database or any third party system from where we need this data. Okay, like Salesforce or MongoDB or Oracle DB. There we will create a query based on this parameter. Okay, and then database will give me a response back. Okay, and that response I will transform in the JSON, because if you see the query, if you query the database, it doesn't give you the JSON or something, it gives you something. The response is not like this. The response from the database will be different. You need to transform it according to your requirement. Okay, I will transform it and then I will pass it in the response of books resource. Okay, so it will be like this. Currently it's just like a blueprint. We are just designing the API. It will show, it is showing us like this type of structure we will get when we will hit books with the get method. Okay,
Okay. Thank you.
yeah. Any other question? Okay, so guys, as I was talking about the reusability. Okay, so for example, we created a query parameter here. Okay, so what if, for example, there are other resources also and other method also that want to use same query parameter. Okay, and then what we need to do, for example, here we have post method, post, and then I will define again the query parameters. One second, it should give us here. Um, it's not giving. Am I doing any mistake? Oh, sorry, its indentation is not. Okay, now it's fine. So generally these are the mistakes that we do, okay, in raml. So for example, if it's not at the correct root level, then you will get this error, because this is a method. You cannot start with method like this. You need to have method under a resource. So resource is books, and if you see these linings, so method is in the second line, so this method also should be in the second. And so use tabs instead of spacing. You should use tab. So you give one tab, it will correct its alignment. Okay, and then query parameter. So here also, if for example I am using the same query parameter, okay, like this. Okay, so instead of defining the query parameter in both the methods, what should we do? We can create a we can create a fragment. Okay, so last time I think I don't know, I explained the trait to you guys or not. Just remind me if I explained it or not. Did I
Uh,
explain the traits?
no, no, Anurag, you not explain about trades.
Okay,
No,
okay,
no, no, no. Okay.
okay, okay. So yeah, so I will explain that. So actually traits is like function generally in all the, generally if you see like in other language like C, Java, we create some functions to reuse. Okay, so it is also kind of a function and is used to define the common attributes for different methods like put, post, delete, patch. Okay, and that's why we use traits. Okay, so like here we define under get method and post method, we define some attributes like query parameters. Okay, so when we, so these things we can define under the traits. Okay, like we can create a separate, separate file, like here, create a new file. It's not a specification, it's comes under like data type, and no data type, it's not a data type, it's actually a trait. Okay, so I can give like common fragments, or yes, common fragments. Okay, Instead of giving this, I should use kebab case like this. Common fragments dot raml created. Okay, it created this one. Okay, so now whatever I was defining in the in this query parameter, what I can do, I just delete it from here. I will go back here. You can put a display name because it will display what does it trade. So I'm just putting like query param rate. This is query param rate. So now we can paste that here simply like this. Okay, so this is we created, and to that, so now it's in separate file. Okay, let me, it will get saved. Generally it takes 1 or 2 minutes or some few seconds to save the file. Okay, if it doesn't save the file, you will see the star on this file. For example, I'm doing this change. Okay, if you see this star, the file didn't get saved. Okay, once it's saved, the star will go off. Okay, so this is the one. So we created this trait, and from here also we can remove this one from the post method also, and from this one. Okay, so now both one doesn't have these this trait. Okay, so in the same way, like we will see the resource types. So resource types, like these are the resource types, one second. First I cover one by one. Okay, so we created this one, and generally there is some headers also, like uh, headers, HEADERS, headers. For example, we have a small security on our API, like a basic auth. Okay, so in that basic auth, we need some headers like client ID and client secret. Okay, so here we define this client ID. Okay, and its type will be string. Okay, and it's required true. Okay, so you cannot hit your request without client ID. Okay, you need client ID in the request because we are defining it as a string. Oh, sorry, as required true. The same way we need client secret. Okay, for that type is string. Same. It depends, like uh, if it is completely numeric, then you can give its number. If it is like alphanumeric, then you can give string. Okay, so this will be small s. Okay, for this also you need to put required true. So this is saved. Guys, one more thing, if you have any errors, okay, for example, I have this error and I'm not understanding why this error is coming. Okay, so what do you need to do? If you see this arrow here, project errors, so there is a small arrow, click on this and it will show you everything. Here errors, this is warnings, and this is unreferenced files. Okay, if we are referring any file in our raml and that file doesn't exist or something, some issue in referencing that file, that will come under this. If any warnings, that is not error but it's some warnings. Okay, so that will come under like under warnings, and any errors will come under errors. So you can hide errors, you can hide warnings, and you can hide reference. So just I want to see the error. So error is syntax error in following text. So there is a syntax error. So what is the syntax error? That when you will get some more hands-on on the raml, then you will be able to figure out what are these errors. So here, because I know I had some experience to design the raml, so it is easy for me. But once you will start the designing, it will be easy for you also. Okay, now I know, because here we need some space after required. So if you see now, error gone. Okay, no warnings, nothing. Okay, they'll by the root file, that will come on this later. Currently there is no error in the raml. Okay, go back, and like we created a post method. So here in the documentation, endpoint, one more endpoint created for books, like with the post method. Okay. So now, so headers also we can create one more, or if all, or we can add it here also in with the same file like this. So then we can change it here like common request params trait. So each method need this header, client id, secret, and this query parameter. So both we added here under one trait, and now it will get saved. So we can delete this header also. Something we, yes. So now what we need to do? Anybody have any idea before? So you can, what should I do? What should I write? It will be a practice for you. Let me know. Hello?
Function call maybe.
Sorry.
Or function call maybe there is.
Mm, yep, function call will be there. That's
Including,
correct. But how to call that?
including
Including second. Okay, I tell you. Here we need to define it traits. This one, this keyword, it will automatically give you traits. Okay. Here traits you can give any name according, like we have like common params. Okay, like common params. So in common params you can include this, include what, include this is common, common fragments. Okay, they, okay, common, why it's, one moment guys. Okay, I think first I should show you from here. Instead going directly, I can define it here also. Okay, I will keep it back in the file, but I just want for better understanding, I want to show you from here. Okay, so here we define the traits with common, with the name common params, and under common params we have query parameters and headers, and now I want to include under the get resource. Okay, or you can do instead of for get or post, first I want to show you for get. So here is a keyword that we use to include any traits. Okay, any traits that we define. So here we define the trait name common params. Okay, so you can define it here. So if you have more traits with different names, then what you need to do, just give comma and give another name. Okay, and it will come under this sign, the square brackets. So now go to get. Okay, so if you see, it is automatically giving you headers, client id, secret, okay, and query parameters. Okay, so it is taking this one, and it is common and here also for post method. Now for the get method also you can add it in the same way. See, common and params. Okay, so let me go back for the post method. So post method also client id, secret, and query parameters. Okay, query parameter is what, book id, like example is 123. When you will try it, then you need to add the client id. If you see this star means it's required. Okay, value is required but currently empty. It will show you everything, whatever fields are required, it will give you that instruction. If you don't pass, you will get the, you, if for example I'm trying to hit it. Okay, let me see. Okay, why, which one? No, post, nothing is defined over there. Why it's giving 200? it should not give the 200 because it needs some value. Okay, something was wrong. Unable. Okay, unable. Okay, got it. If you will enable it, I think it is taking space as some string value. Let me give something like this. Okay, something is wrong. Maybe I'm missing something. Type is string, type is string. It should say, it should take, okay. So whatever we will pass here, because everything is, because it's a string, so it is taking it as a string. If we will keep here number, for example, number, client ID. So then we cannot pass a string. It will give you error when we will pass any string. I'm typing something, but it is not taking it. Okay. So when it is string, because string, under string anything can come, because a string can accept alphanumeric, numeric, okay, or only alphabets. So it will accept. Okay, and these are to enable or disable the client ID secret. So here we are enabling it. So if we will disable it, it will give us the error like request validation error, request header client ID is missing. Why first client ID? Because it's very first param is client ID in the headers. So if we have client secret, then it will give you client secret. So for example, if we pass client ID, then okay, we need to enable it. So now we passed the client ID, but we did not pass the client secret. So it is giving this time client secret is missing. Okay, but my main point is to explain you like traits. We defined the traits and we included with the help of is keyword. Okay, so this was my main motto, like how to define traits and how to include in our resources. So here it is common, it is, you know, for each resource we are adding, but now I don't want for each resource, because each resource need this state. So what I will do, I can define it here also. Common terms, yeah. So what will happen, let's see in the endpoints again. Okay, so this, right? So if you see query parameters, it is showing you headers, query parameters, both. Okay, so it means now it is under get method also it is showing. And if you go to post method, let's see what under post. So in the post method also it is showing you client ID, secret, and query parameters. So it means under the resource, if you define any traits, it is common for all the methods. If you will define under the method, so then it is common, it is only for that method, it will not be available for other methods. Okay, so that is the main difference. So you can define in these ways. So it actually defining this under resource and under methods, it depends on your business requirement, or like how we need to pass the params. Okay, so it can be for one method or it can be for the complete resource. Okay, so now we, instead of defining this complete one, what we can do, like earlier I was doing, delete it here, we already have this here. And now we define the common params. Okay, so common param is there. Now I think we need to include this trait, so we use include. Has include is to include some files or like this. Okay, so include, what is error it is giving, resource not found. Okay, one moment. And then we need to give common fragments to travel. Okay, so let's see now we will remove this is because, let's see, first I want to show you in the get method there is no query parameters. Oh sorry, right, there is no query parameter, nothing, no headers, nothing is there because we did not define anything. We just have simple get method. Now let me go back again, define this again. So let's see, we defined the traits in this file common fragments.raml, and we included that file like this under traits common params include common fragments.raml. Okay, so now our query parameters and required headers are visible in the documentation. Okay, and so we can try it. Okay, so this is about the traits, how we define the traits in the files. One more thing, we can instead of giving a file, we can define like a under the folder like traits. Okay, create and paste this file here. So I'm just moving the file under the traits folder. So look, it is giving you error because whatever you defining in raml, whatever defining in the raml, and no, sorry, not defining, means whatever you want to include in the raml, if it is available just outside of the root file is our this file book system api.raml. If you see this my mouse arrow, so this is book system.api.raml, that is root file. Whatever just next to this file, ju- just at the level of the root file, that you can include simply like include the file name. But if it is inside a folder, so its root level change, its level is changed. So what you need to do here, dot traits slash. Okay, so let me, traits is the spelling is right, common fragments dot grammar. One moment, it should show. Resource traits. Okay, one moment, sorry. Okay, yeah, so what we are doing, we need to define this traits, first the folder name, then the file name. Okay, if you will define this simply the sorry, simply the file name, then it will not accept because there is no file after this root file. Okay, so that's why we need to define, give first folder name and then this slash, so it will accept and it will show you everything here. Okay, so any question about this trait? So currently it means like traits we can define in the same raml file, or we can create different files for creating the traits, or we can create some folders, and inside that folders we can create our traits. Okay, so this was the simple example how we define the traits. Okay, any question for this? Hello, am I audible? Hello.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes, Saurabh, tell me. Any
No, no, no,
question?
no. No, no question.
Okay. Padma, you have any question?
No, no question.
I guess Sonia, Achla, you have any question?
No, Rag, I'm good, thank you.
Okay. So guys, this was about the traits. And if you need this ramal, I did not put, sorry, I forgot to keep this in my repository, GitHub repository. I will keep it there and you can fork it. Okay, and then you can use, we will extend this ramal. Next class I will give some, I will take some best example. I did not get the time like to give you, is I'm using a very small JSON, but in the next time I will give some time, and I will create kind of some example. For example, like employees. In the employees we can, for example, I can give like employees, its ID, its name, its designation, something a better example. Okay, and then in the next class, first I will create all the methods, and then one by one for all the methods I will remove its description, responses, request, errors, and I will give it everything in other files, and from other files I will just include it. Okay, like for example this example, I don't want to give it here. I want everything. For example, I show you this new folder examples. Okay, I have created examples. Inside the examples I will create a new folder, right? Responses. Okay, it's responses, and inside the responses also. So it's like managed one. If somebody wants to see, if somebody wants to do the changes in a particular resource request or response, it he or she doesn't need to edit the raml. He or she just need a name of the raml, the examples file. It will go, he or she will go there, and it will be, it can be edited. Okay, so there is less chances to disturb our actual raml, because generally if everything in the raml, then there is more chances we can disturb something that can give us some failures. Okay, so I am focusing on the reusability. For example, this example, if I want to use this example in some other resources also, so it's very easy. We have everything in this folder. There is a file like book response. Here we need to give a JSON like other. There are ramls, there are OS, whatever file, but I want to give JSON, so it will give you file.json. Change the name like books response. Okay, create it, and you just simply take this from here, cut it, and pass it here. Okay, and now go back, and here under examples, include is the keyword to include any file. Okay, so include, here we need examples slash responses slash books, and books it is automatically showing you a books response. So look, and now go to try it, and we'll hit its client ID, something I gave, just an example. Okay, so hit it, and look, we are getting the response with the correct example. If I don't include it, it will give us the blank. Let's see. Look, this is blank because we did not define any example. Okay, so everything, what even these things, we are defining the response, body, application description. These things also we can keep separately in the files. These things will come under, like for example, error responses or success responses. Okay, so we can include, or this complete one we can include under the resource types. So what are the resource types? For example, we will define under this resource, we have its resource type, like for the get method, post method, delete, patch. Okay, so for that we will define the resource types, and that resource type we will include it here. Okay, so it will be like very easy to understand and very easy to debug, very easy to edit, and reusable. Okay, so this is the best thing, like this is the best practice to design a ramble. Okay, so the the people who are beginners, who are working as a developers, okay, so they, when you create any ramble, okay, so you need to design always in this way. Not even if your API have a single resource, okay, don't avoid to write everything in one raml. Okay, because you are not sure in the future how many resources will be there. So best practices from very first day, design your raml in the way that it follows all the reusability principles. Okay, so today we covered traits, and tomorrow I think I will write the complete 4 methods: get, post, delete, patch, put. Okay, with one best example, like with the employee data. Okay, and first I will write that raml, and one by one, like today we deleted query parameters headers into the traits. In the same way, what tomorrow I will do, like I will cover the security schemas. Okay, data types, like whatever, for example, you have this responses. Okay, here instead of response we will have a request, like one more folder we will create request. There will be your request. In the request, for example, raml also you can use for your data validation. like for your API, if your API is accepting a payload, that payload that payload having only two fields, first name, last name, but your first name length should be 17 or 18 characters. Okay, so those validations you can do it in the RAML by using data types. Okay, so we will create a data type. Under that data type we will put some validations. So that validation, because it's a JSON, so I will prefer JSON schemas. I will create some JSON schemas. Based on that JSON schemas, we will add some JSON validations. Okay, and these examples from those schemas we will refer right here. So here there will be request and response. Response, we will include that data type. Okay, that data type we will include in this RAML, and also the example. So what it will reflect, like our data type is this, and corresponding to that data type, this should be in our response or request, like a simple example. Okay, so that I will cover in the next class. So far I have explained the states and examples, or like how to include the files. Do you have any question related to that? Or like I'm fast or I'm not explaining in the right way? So please let me know. Hello? No questions?
No question.
Yeah, no questions, Anurag. Everything is good.
Okay. How
Nice
many
question.
people joined today?
Sure. Maybe Anurag, we should be doing. Maybe it should be good to make an exercise.
Yeah.
So maybe have like if there's a client suggestion for the company, and maybe we need to work. I don't know, like make
Yeah,
one of these.
yes, that's right. Actually, what is my plan is like once we explain this complete RAML, I will create an assignment and I will give it to everyone, and I will give 2 days time, and in the next third day, we'll collect all the doubts and all, and I will explain by defining that assignment by myself, or if somebody already did it, so we will take it. So is it okay, or like what? Any other thoughts?
It's good
Any?
for me.
Okay. So this RAML that I created today, I will keep it in our Git repository. So you can take it from there and you can try it by your own. Don't just copy paste, just see, because when you will write line by yourself, you will face different issues, and fix it if you by your own. Try it, and if it doesn't resolve, then let me know in the next class, or in the group. We will answer you on that. Okay, but write everything by line by your own. Don't just copy paste. Okay, so you will get better knowledge on this, better understanding. Okay, so I think Mark,